Hello, everybody. Consider this a face reveal. We have a little to talk about before we get to the next video. I took a very long time off, probably about a year off from modeling, and that is because the project that you're about to see broke me in so many ways that I needed a break. I'm just kidding. It didn't break me, but it was a lot. And that being said, I hope you guys really enjoy this video. But we also have some changes to make. Not only did we undertake a huge project, but we went ahead and we upgraded some of our equipment that we use for filming. So usually we only filmed with the small camera, the Sony ZV-1. Yeah, the Sony ZV-1, which is a really good blogging camera. However, it got really hard to build literally around that camera. And plus, like, I would move it and it would get knocked over. So I just felt like the video quality wasn't really as good as it could have been. That being said, now we are filming from our new camera, which is a Sony a7 IV. Small investment. And by that, I mean, I don't want to talk about it. But, yeah, I think it's totally worth it. Because obviously I get to do stuff like this. I get to do new intros to the video. I also get to film a new perspective, which is really great. We also got new microphone equipment, which is really great. So that way we could upgrade our level of audio. So yeah, pretty much that's it. That's what we've been doing for the past year. Coming to grips with all of our new equipment, trying to really get back in the swing of modeling and stuff like that. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, obviously, before we get to the main event, which is the tanks, and not the person building the tanks. I understand how it goes. But I do want to thank you guys, those that have subscribed and that have stuck around. And if you're seeing this video because you were a former subscriber and you plan on subscribing again, I think that would be really great. There's going to be no timeline for how our videos come out. I will not promise you a weekly basis. I will not promise you a drop date because, you know, life first and foremost. But then on top of that, we are really trying to level up our level of modeling. So we are going to be undertaking a lot more detail and projects that have full interiors, which is this one. Broke me mentally, I'll tell you that much. Seriously, thank you guys for sticking with the channel, and I hope you guys enjoy this next series because it's gonna be really good. I had fun doing this one, and then I had so much fun, I decided to take a year off. So thank you guys again so much. I really cannot thank you guys enough for sticking through the channel. And hopefully we get to grow the channel even more to heights that we probably didn't even think possible. So you guys enjoy, and I'm going to go now and edit videos from 2 separate cameras, which is something that was unforeseen. And anyway, enjoy. All right, everybody, and like I mentioned before, this is an absolutely massive kit. As you can tell by the box, the video does not do it justice, how big this box is. And as we move on inside, there's a whole bunch of plastic that's going on in here that we're going to be using. And then we got our instructions, which were very clear and actually really precise, which I appreciate, because in a model like this, you really don't want any small issues, especially with the instructions. There's so many small pieces and they have to be put in a certain way, organized in a certain way. Otherwise, you're just going to be running into loads of issues. So I believe there were 63 steps to this model kit, which is by far the most that I have ever experienced. This is a major undertaking for this channel, so I really hope that you guys enjoy this one. Here's some simple tools. We're going to be using a lot of Tamiya Extra Thin. We're going to be using a decent amount of our Tamiya Cement for those load-bearing parts. We're going to be using our tweezers, our sprue cutters, which are going to get a lot of work, Our scalpel for some part cleanup, I mean, we're not really going to use it that much because there's just way too many pieces. And a drill bit, as always. But let's take a look at some of this detail, guys, before we go off into the build. And during the build process, I'm just going to kind of let the video run. I'm going to not try to chime in too much because there's not really much to talk about when it comes to the build. Pretty much just follow the instructions, make sure things are set. And in this kit specifically, there were no like misaligned parts or hard to fit parts or parts that didn't match. So everything was pretty much straightforward. And we all love that for a kit, don't we? So sit back and enjoy. Again, I'll try not to chime in as much as I can. And as we're moving along here, I do just want to say, guys, again, this is the first time that I'm using this kind of camera setup where it's like over the shoulder. So I think it's noticeable at times you do try to find me finding like the focal point, or some things may seem like out of frame. Please just bear with me. Those things will get better as it goes on, I promise. In the background there, I'm sure you notice some other like parts that are like kind of put together. That base plate that you see in the middle there, that is pretty much just a bracket to hold the engine, and then the side parts that are on the side are also like little brackets that hold the engine in place, and they also contain some of like the gear shifting mechanics. So those are quite important to the build. What's really good about having this much detail is that we can really kind of plan for the future here. So we kind of get like an envision of what we want to do with this engine. So I kind of already knew that I would be dry brushing this one because we want to get as many details as we can out of it, even though it probably won't be seen. But for video purposes, I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, because once it's locked away inside the actual tank, we're not going to be able to see much of it. But we still want to add a lot of detail. We still want to enjoy it while it's out. And that is the completed engine. Now, a lot of those parts that you see there are in fact glued on. Those are not molded. The moldings do help, but that is all glue and that is all sprue. I didn't mean to rhyme there. Okay, so here we're going to paint this in one base coat of dark iron. Now, dark iron is a perfect color because it's like a very dark gray, but it's not black. And we just painted all the main parts, so this transmission portion that you see here as well. The bottom base plate does have a color call out for like some type of red oxide, so we made sure to use our red oxide primer for that one. And as you can see here, those other brackets, they went in the dark iron as well, and they control some of the gearing. Now, this is like a clutch plate. That's how intricate this model is, the fact that it has a separate clutch assembly. Here we dry brushed in metallic silver. As you can see how much detail really comes out of it. It just looks absolutely phenomenal. It looks worn, it doesn't look brand new, and there's just going to be tons of detail that come out, and we did it for everything else. So now from this point on, we're just going to start assembling pretty much everything that we have pre-assembled. So it was very nice because we had to build this in sections and not be able to glue it together yet, just because obviously we need to paint things separately and then put them together. I've personally never really liked gluing painted parts together. But with this model, they made it fairly simple, and there's a lot of like cutouts and very clear places for it to go, so that wasn't an issue for this model. as we're moving along here. This is pretty much the completed engine right there, because now we're going to start working on small crew compartments and one little exterior detail, and then after that, this bottom base plate or this center part of this tank is done. Okay, so that was pretty much everything that went on the interior in terms of like the engine block. Now going forward, we'll still need to do some other crew fighting compartments and side sponsons, but for the main central part of this tank, it is done. So we set it off to the side as we set forth and doing this one exterior detail. These are fuel tanks. These are external fuel tanks that are placed onto the center plate there. We did the same thing. We colored those in dark gray before dry brushing them with our metallic silver, and you will see that detail in a moment. And we just made sure to add all of the detail because this is going to go enclosed, but it is important to paint all of this up because you never know exactly what's going to be showing, so it gives that extra authenticity. It also had us add one extra part, and that is like that oxide red radiator that you see there. I had done that off camera because that part was actually a little annoying to fit, but we managed to put it on there and got away with it pretty easy. So this is pretty much the entire interior that you see here, guys. Again, not super complicated, but very tedious work. I would say this bit right here alone took me about a weekend just because I had to wait for paint to dry and then dry brush because I wanted to make sure everything fit correctly. I also had to wait extended for painted parts to be glued together. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for sticking with the channel and hanging out with me for this brief period of time today. Join us back next time where we're going to hit building the whole exterior of the tank as well as dropping this in there. Thank you guys. See you later.